guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm not a YouTuber. My name is Liz Marie. If you're here from class, hi, it's nice to meet you guys. Kind of crazy that the first way that you guys get to really see me is a little bit cringe. We know the task that we have at hand, which discuss the barbecue image, talk about Socrates, talk about someone similar to Socrates. That's kind of like our itinerary, I guess, for this video. So let's start with the barbecue image. I don't know how to edit, so we're gonna pretend that the image is right here with the family having their barbecue, grilling up hot dogs, yeah, all the fun stuff. In terms of how I felt about the image, it definitely made me think about summer, made me think about how much I miss the warm weather because it is snowing so much here in New York, and even as the snow is melting, it's like it never ends, and then it just uncovers more and more gross stuff hidden in the snow or under it, whatever. It's really bad for business. So yeah, that's how I feel. I really miss my summertime. Definitely when I first saw the image, I was reading through the prompt and everything like at maybe like 1 in the morning, so I definitely got a little bit hungry. Yeah. So that kind of sums up how I felt about the image. In terms of Socrates, which is the main basis of our class, one thing that will forever stick out to me about Socrates is the fact that he was willing to die for his beliefs. I don't know anyone who is willing to do that, at least in my personal life. Maybe people outside of my personal life would do something like that, but yeah. The way that he was just so, like, I guess in a way stubborn, like, he did not care that he was being threatened with death. He was just willing to go through whatever it was, as long as he was standing his ground in terms of his beliefs. I think that is very admirable. The fact that you feel so strongly about things that you believe in and you're willing to do whatever it takes to kind of have them heard. I think that another thing too is that once someone dies, I feel like what they leave behind, there's the stories, the way people feel about them, become of the utmost importance. And I think that Socrates in a way wanted to be remembered for his beliefs, and essentially that is what we're doing today, analyzing him and kind of just going through this course, learning about him, his beliefs, and what other people thought of him. With that being said, it is very hard to think of someone who could compare to Socrates. I think that when it comes to someone of Socrates' time, the classical period, you have to really think about the fact that there was no technology. There was rarely any access to any, material of any sort. It's kind of hard to access like written works from like people of different countries, or like, I don't know, stuff like that. Like there's just a lack of materials available, kind of a lack of references, lack of many things that we have today. So to think of the fact that people from his time, philosophers of this time, they were able to come up with original ideas, if not build off of the ideas of the original thought people. Yeah, like of the original thinkers is what I wanted to say. So kind of just like giving thought and giving credit to them for being able to just come up with these things without even really knowing, because I could not think of an original thought today. I really couldn't. I think that everything that I've thought has been thought by someone else, and it's just like if any questions arise, I feel like we're so quick to give a Google search or like turn and ask someone. And I think that's what makes these philosophers, including Socrates, so special, is that even when they didn't know anything, they would kind of trust, or not exactly trust, but they would turn to other people to kind of get into their heads. And Socrates was very good at getting into people's heads. And I think that the fact that he was very much depicted as someone who's very annoying, I definitely see it, and if I were having a conversation with him, I would most definitely lose my mind, because I could not sit here and tell you guys every single one of my thoughts and my reasons for my thoughts. So now that we have that out of the way, one person who I think could be comparable to Socrates, not in an exact way, because like I said, no one could compare to that kind of thinking. Please forgive if I pronounce this name incorrectly. However, the person who I am comparing Socrates to is a Slovenian philosopher who goes by the name of Slavoj Zizek. Forgive me if I'm wrong in my pronunciation. However, I compare him to Socrates in the way that they both were finding contradictions in the government. Socrates with the Athenian government, and Zizek with capitalism, liberalism, and other sorts of governments. And that way, they both approached their their way of thinking, the way of thought provoking, with their personality. Their personality has played a big part in their their personalities have played a big part in their philosophy. I think that for Socrates, if he wasn't so annoying, then we wouldn't really be talking about him today, would we? And then with Zizek, I think that having humor to things, which is what he's known for, approaching things with humor. I think that humor is definitely a good way of like approaching people. I think it kind of, in a way, doesn't sensitize, but it kind of just like masks the severity of maybe a deep conversation. So like being approached with some sort of humor to say, hey, what do you think about our government, kind of makes it easier to talk about, right? So that's kind of my feelings on the matter. Really curious to see everyone else's, and that's me. Bye, guys.